So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vijayalan, and I manage the control design application engineering from MathWorks. For people who are new to MathWorks, MathWorks is a company which develops modeling and simulation software like MATLAB and Simulink. So, why I am here in behalf of Graham, as Dr. Satish said, he is not able to come here, but he was very eager to have his presentation done to this particular crowd. So what we have done is we have made a recording of his presentation and we'll be playing it. Before playing the recording, just a quick words about Graham. Dr. Graham is the Principal Industry Manager for Energy and Utilities in MathWorks, where his key role will be to define the directions and the product strategies for our product developments catering to the needs of the energy and utility markets. The theme of our presentation is mainly how technologies like model-based design and data analytics play a key role in addressing the challenges in design and development of the microgrids. So that is what we will be having a 14 minutes presentation. And in case you have any questions, I'll be here to answer the questions. Also, we have a booth. We'll be happy to have interactions with you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Graham Dudgeon, and I am Principal Industry Manager for Utilities and Energy at MathWorks. It is a great pleasure for me to be addressing the 7th World Renewable and Technology Congress. The central theme of my talk is that while the microgrid opportunity is power for all, the microgrid challenge is complexity. The challenge of complexity arises from different directions, and I would like to explore these directions in my talk, and ultimately how we can embrace such complexity by enabling collaboration, agility, and quality. The first challenge of complexity manifests itself when we consider what elements must be in place for any technology to move from the eureka moment of the fundamental idea to deployed, proven technology. Those three components are policies that support technology development and deployment, the development of the technology itself, and the benefit that society gains from that technology. Societal benefit is preceded by public acceptance, and public acceptance affects technology development and deployment. Good examples where there are challenges with public acceptance are wind turbines. Solar is more acceptable to the public. And it's interesting the relationship there between what the public perceives as being visually nice to look at or has low noise, and how that also impacts technology development. Another good example of a technology being developed to maximize public acceptance is wave energy. And MathWorks has actually been involved in a recent Department of Energy funded Wave Energy Prize, where we provided software to the participating teams to help develop. These three components cannot be mutually exclusive from one another. They must be intertwined to create a triple helix where each component becomes stronger and more informed through collaboration. A good policy, for example, will support fundamental research. It will encourage innovation and entrepreneurship in industry. And by innovation, I mean both the technological innovation and also the business model innovation. And the technology will ultimately improve quality of life. As an engineer, the main thrust of my presentation will be consideration of what must be in place for robust and rapid microgrid technology development, with an increasing emphasis on using smart technologies and innovative techniques to support the objectives of industry. The connection between academia and industry must facilitate the effective transfer of fundamental science to proven technology. Many observers view this transfer as the so-called valley of death, where many fundamental ideas can drop off the cliff as they attempt to move through proven operating technology. Another view of this process is the so-called technology readiness levels, which is a scale of 1 through 9. Where 1 is the eureka moment, and 9 is proven field operation and deployment. Academia tends to move up to TRL 3, where initial research and de-risking is performed, whereas industry tends to accept technology around TRL 7, The valley of death can therefore be considered as a gap that is spanned by TRL 3 to 7. Closing this gap requires collaboration and also tools and processes that facilitate the transfer of technology. Software plays an important role in this transfer, and the use of common software platforms across the TRL scale is an important part of facilitating effective technology transfer. We'll now give more consideration to the value of engineering software by mapping typical high-level applications across this scale. Desktop simulation and data analytics has a role to play across the entire TRL scale. Real-time testing, rapid prototyping and hardware in the loop tends to come in around TRL 4. Production considerations tend to come in around TRL 7, where technology choices are being finalized and hardware integration is being performed. MathWorks has a proven history of providing tools and capabilities that span this TRL scale. From an engineering perspective, complexity can come from three main directions when considering microgrid development. First, the raw number of microgrids that could be deployed. In India, this number may be in the thousands. Second, the uniqueness of microgrids. That is, each microgrid will serve a unique population within a unique environment, and therefore will itself be unique in its configuration. Third, the variability of operation. That is, with a large penetration of renewable generation on a microgrid, the operational range can be very broad. And so this complexity has an influence in the way we as engineers develop microgrids. What must be in place for successful microgrid development is collaboration. Without collaboration and integrated system design, the system development stages tend to follow this pattern. First, specification is defined, usually without functional testing. Then separate technology groups work in relative isolation during the design stage. The components of the system are then integrated, and during test, the system does not do what you expect. And it's never better than your original specification. It's always worse. And we see this across many industries who use traditional development cycles. And this is where the value of model-based design comes into play. Model-based design at its heart is collaboration with models, simulation, and data. When we look at a typical workflow of the concepts of model-based design, you begin with a model of your system, a model that includes the electrical components, the mechanical components, the communication infrastructure, fully integrated model, the control systems, the feedback control, the supervisory control. And with that model, you can start developing the control systems. You can look at system architectures, component choice, technology choice, operational choice within the simulation environment. And that is the core value. And that simulation model can be shared among different engineering teams. Once the control systems have been developed, you can deploy them straight to the hardware by generating C or C++ code, VHDL, target FPGAs, DSPs, so-called heterogeneous units. And because you are working within a simulation environment, you can continuously test and verify your component development, your algorithm development, and the insights that you're gaining from your system. And it doesn't just stop at the development of the technology. This tracks right through to in-service support. Once your technology is deployed, simulation still plays a core part in being able to monitor the performance of that system, do testing when faults occur, do root cause analysis, and so the value is there throughout both the technology development cycle and the in-service support of the system. Demonstrated benefits of model-based design includes increased revenue, the business element, increased product quality. You can optimize components, you can lower prototyping costs, and you can lower service and maintenance costs. Embedded software itself is growing in complexity. 30 years ago, embedded software was not the most critical component in electrical systems, but now it is. This is especially true of microgrids, where embedded software, control systems, supervisory control, communication infrastructure, is critical to the successful operation of microgrids. I'm now going to talk about a few of our own customers and the value that they've gained from using our software. So Hydro-Quebec do very detailed wind farm modelling. So they know how the system will behave before they build it. And in fact, another benefit of this, when they're doing very detailed wind farm models, is they can look at equipment selection choices. By trusting your model, you can make very well-informed decisions. And Hydro-Quebec were able to not deploy technology that they thought they would otherwise have to deploy, voltage support devices. And so they can save millions of dollars by removing technology they do not actually need. Sandia National Labs, it was a similar story with the Hawaii microgrids. They were looking at the installation of batteries, energy storage to support the operation of the Hawaii microgrid. And by doing detailed simulations, a battery half the size that they initially expected was sufficient. And another flexible AC transmission device, another voltage control system was not needed. And so in this case, a couple of $100,000 of cost savings. So this is significant in terms of optimized system design. STEM are a company that do power storage, and this story was important to me because they used modeling and simulation as a means to gain certification of their systems. So grid compliance, IEEE 1547, they were able to show compliance with that through their simulation models. And if they needed to make changes, they could change in the simulation model, rerun the tests. And so a very agile way to go through a compliance procedure. The trend we are seeing over the last few years in particular is the integration of data analytics with model-based design. And that comes through a number of different ways as well. For example, you can assess risk, and this is critical for microgrid operation. Because you have a high penetration of variable energy, there are thousands of potential operating points. The way to address that is through conducting hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of simulations. And when you're running so many simulations, you must look at it from a statistical perspective and perform statistical analysis of the operation of your system. You can also integrate formal optimization techniques into your design. You can apply optimization, for example, to what-if scenarios. So as we're looking at the development of a microgrid, let's look at energy storage. How does that interplay with the variable energy? What can we do with it? Can we firm up the power on the microgrid itself? Can we offer ancillary services to the main grid? There are many different ways in which technology can be used, and optimization helps us get to the heart of what those uses are. The trend we are seeing, certainly in North America, is a drive towards power plant model verification. Now, from an engineering perspective, this makes a lot of sense. Matching your simulation model to measure data in the field. And in North America, there are now regulations in place from NERC, the North American Electrical Reliability Corporation, regulation called MOD 26, which requires generation companies to match their simulation models to their measured data. So this is where optimization plays a critical role in being able to do this. But of course, if you match your simulation components to measured response, you trust your simulation and can therefore do much more detailed investigative studies with those models. One example is online power plant performance. There's technology in place now called synchrophasers on the grids. Synchrophasers measure voltage and current to very high accuracy. A number of utilities I've been speaking with are actually observing grid events through their synchrophaser measurements that are very difficult to duplicate within the simulation environment. So that points towards the simulation models needing to be improved. But by driving this data through the simulation models, that allows you to modify your simulations and get them closer to reality. We do have best practices for establishing a model-based design culture, and I would just like to share them here with you. Share one or two in particular, which I've been talking about through this talk. Treat your models as the sole source of truth. So that means develop a simulation model which increases in complexity as your development cycle progresses. and share that model within the engineering teams. Use the models for at least two things. So the model doesn't just achieve the purpose of being able to run a simulation and see what that simulation is. It's used as a core engineering design tool, core engineering analysis tool. There are many uses of a simulation model within a product development cycle. So the microgrid opportunity is power for all, and the microgrid challenge is complexity. We should all embrace complexity by enabling collaboration, agility, and quality across research and production. Thank you very much.